Welcome to MedGate Today podcast, where business meets innovation in the world of healthcare. From medtech to pharmaceuticals, diagnostics, and medical devices, we bring you the latest insights from the healthcare all over the world. Today, we have a visionary with us, Anubha Mahajan, whose out-of-the-box thinking is shaping the future. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Anubha Mahajan, a visionary healthcare advocate, educator, and the founder and chairperson of Chronic Pain India. Hello and welcome to the show, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Hira. Thank you for inviting.
So, ma'am, can you give us a brief introduction to the viewers?
You've given a great introduction of mine already. All I would say that, hi, my name is Dr. Anubha Mahajan. I am a dentist who moved towards public health eventually with time, because I turned a doctor and patient in the same year. She explained that I'm a chronic pain warrior. However, I actually suffer from a rare neurological condition called complex regional pain syndrome, and it's as invisible as it is right now. So I'm sure you cannot figure it out. What am I suffering from right now sitting like this? Rest we'll keep for the interview to unlock further things.
So before we begin with the show, doctor, what's the story behind your stethoscope, the personal journey, the defining moments, and the healing edge that shaped you as a doctor that you are today?
I would give a little credit to my bachelor's college. No, actually not little, but a lot, because I was a curious kid all my life. And I got a lot of opportunities to work with kids with disabilities, so different kind of illnesses when we were treating dental patients and all. Initially, I wanted to go for oral maxillofacial surgery and turn into a surgeon. But I realized that, pediatric dentistry and treating kids and treating kids and adults with disability itself is a different number on its own. However, I turned a doctor and the patient in the same year, and that made me see the medico-social angle and how challenging it is if you're suffering from a condition which you're not even read or studied about. So from there, reaching people out and finding there's no support groups to whatnot, and lack of empathy going. And one major aspect was, there was this one girl I could help, but I could not because of certain circumstances, and it triggered something inside.
So can we know a little about that girl?
Yeah, so I used to be in Bangalore back then doing my pediatric dentistry, which I had left, and I will be very clear, because of harassment and bullying. And since I talked about it, I was further made invisible, as if I didn't exist. However, I was very particular with my health and all, and I used to go to cult. Back then, cult was like a new thing, and there were like sports players and athletes who were training. So I used to get that strength and conditioning that I need for my body to move and push up. And they were aware that I'm a doctor and I'm dealing with chronic pain. And there was this young girl who was actually not diagnosed for 16 years. And her parents always just scolded her that, you're making pain as an excuse so that aapko padhai na karna pade and all that, and you don't have to study, you don't have to do. And they never took it seriously, and she also took it like a grudge at heart that once I complete my education and I'm earning my own, that's when I'll get myself diagnosed. It took her 16 years. Then by then the disease had increased to a level that she had to go on opioids to whatnot. And somebody in cult told her that, there is this doctor, Dr. Anubha Mahajan. She herself has chronic pain issues, and since she's a doctor, maybe she can help you. And imagine Bangalore 10:30 in the night with heavy rain. The first thing you look for is not interactions, but an auto driver or a taxi that actually comes up, because they go missing. So, I gave her my number and everything. I said, I knew all the answers she was asking her. I could understand her anxiety. I could have helped her. But at that circumstance, I told her, you should go home, I should reach home, otherwise we won't get cab or anything. And I waited for her call. It never came. And I kept on waiting for it. And it just kept on telling me, I could have helped her. What if I would have taken a taxi 15 minutes later? My house was closer, hers wasn't. What if I would have given that time? Would have made a change. that was something I still don't know who that girl is, to be truthful. And whenever I tell this, I always say this, that I'm grateful to you wherever you are, and someday I want to talk to you.
So maybe she will get the message from our end. Hopefully, let's hope. Let's hope for it. So today we are going to talk about a very interesting topic: how to strengthen the challenge between the patient-doctor relationship, strengthening the doctor-patient relationship, especially in India, is very complex as due to the resource constraint healthcare landscape that requires a multi-layered approach. So what do you believe in the biggest barrier to trust and communicate between doctors and patients in India today?
See, the biggest barrier that we have is lack of education and awareness in the right manner. Let's be realistic. I never read about my condition when I was doing my bachelor's. Okay, we do read general medicine, we do have general surgery, and when I got diagnosed, I found 5 lines in it. And that 5 lines was historical. So expecting all the other conditions being there, and the way the language was there itself, it was like a lot of diseases are there and they're not talked about in India. A lot of doctors are not aware about it. If the doctor is not aware, then how will the patients be aware? This was a major challenge that I came across back in 2016, 2017. And on top of that, myself as a doctor, when I was practicing dentistry, when a patient comes and used to sit in my chair, be it any patient, old, a kid, or anyone, till the time that person is on my chair, I will be interacting with them. They will be, specifically old people, share, what is happening in the house, this, that. But the moment the patient walks out, we don't have any instructions how to help them after that. I personally never realized it until I turned a patient, that we're just looking at the health care aspect of treatment. What about only the physical medicinal treatment is not the solution? What about the social impact? What about, can they afford the medicines? At that time, they are thinking that we are the saviors and whatever we give them, be it expensive or anything, do it. But are there other ways? Do they even know that? And these questions was the reason where, all this came up.
So how has social media and digital health information changed the way patient approach treatment, and how should doctors respond to that?
See, I would say that this change has come up in last 5 and 8 years, where I'm seeing a lot of conditions, rare diseases which were not catalogued before in India are now catalogued, be it Apollo, be it Narayan Hrudayalaya and all. They are writing articles about these conditions and educating and making those folios there, okay, so that people have general awareness. We can't dismiss the fact that before COVID, a ratio was, 1 doctor to 10,000 people. Let's be realistic. How can 1 doctor treat 10,000 people in a day? Post-COVID, that ratio has gone even down. Okay, and every patient requires a certain, so there are these WebMD things and Google checkups and all. When you're not diagnosed for more than a year or 2, or you're in too much pain, or you're going through different challenges, your family is also worried, you are also concerned, your job is.
But the biggest challenge or the major the thing which is required to be done is to create awareness, whether it's from social media or from the hospitals end or the government.
I would say right awareness.
Right awareness.
Yeah, right awareness. Because there's so many aspects that come from patient-doctor. It's not that, okay, doctors have their legal laws. Oh, patients also have their legal rights. So many things are there. So yeah, social media does make a big impact. However, if we'll just pity things and all, then we are just showing the patient's sociological angle. The medicinal challenges are missing. We can't just keep on, badging the doctors that they are not doing the right thing. There are so many other factors also involved in it. So it's a accumulation of everything. How we are talking about the multi-applied approach or multidisciplinary approach. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So can you share a moment from your practice where a strong doctor-patient relationship made a significant difference in treatment or recovery?
I would say I should talk about my own self here, because even being a doctor, I know how many specialists and doctors across India, knowing what my condition is, what kind of specialists I require. I went, and every neurosurgeon, every neurologist, every pain specialist across India just folded their hands and said, "We are sorry. We know you are suffering from CRPS, but we cannot help you much because we don't know how to treat it." And it went to a level where I was not diagnosed for a year myself. The second thing was, he said, till the time you don't give up on your willpower and you are ready to fight your disease, I am there to help you out. The day your willpower breaks down, that day I will not be able to help you. That was the biggest thing for me. That was my changing point. Having a doctor who understands you kind of makes your life easy.
It's a blessing.
Yeah, so I would say that's the kind of blessing we've been trying through Chronic Pain India to bring to a lot of people, making them meet the right doctors also. That's the reason the helpline exists nationally on WhatsApp.
Basically.
Yeah.
So, what structural or policy level changes do we need to make healthcare interactions more patient-centric and respectful of doctors' time and well-being?
See, I would like to bring one thing that I came across recently. I was in Europe for 15 days. I had gone to United Nations Vienna, which was a great accomplishment, but it's not about that. I went, the day I had to take my flight, I started my periods. And my menstruation did not stop for 10 days, which is not normal. And my doctor had given me all kinds of medications to carry with me for my precaution. However, nobody thought that my menstruation will suddenly be of 10 days. And I had my personal share of experience with tourist doctor, you know, and the first thing I heard from the tourist doctor, there I was in Amsterdam, I remember. Amsterdam train station is where I found a tourist doctor, and she was very kind, but she told me one thing, you know, I'm only allowed to give you 10 minutes. Now, and then she came to know I have a rare disease, and then I'm facing this medical issue where my periods haven't stopped and I'm already on so many medications. And definitely the medications are different. In India, names are different, there are different, salts are the same. So brand name is different, salt is the common thing that helps. She had to Google, figure out all of it and all. She gave extra 10 minutes from her lunch break. She was not allowed. Mm-hmm. So she gave me 20 minutes, helped me out, but cut 10 minutes from a lunch break. However, when we see it in India, we do have those policies. Patients in India don't get just 10 minutes, they do get extra time. However, the patient-doctor ratio is very different. Coming to the policy aspect, we do have policies, we do have legal rights both for the doctors and the patients. It's just those are not being taught in the right manner that patients know how to go. Even policy level, we have healthcare accessibility policy sitting around. The Supreme Court has given the public accessibility angle. CJ Chandrachud, last verdict was to make every public space accessible, and there's no changing of dates and all. So that goes with healthcare accessibility. There is a separate policy for that. We have Ayushman Bharat policy for health insurance of 5 lakh. People think it's only for poor people. They don't know it's for middle class people also. That's for everybody. The government has not barricaded it कि आप इस income पे हो तो और even
but
other policies are there.
Usually it is marginalized, that specific.
It's just a mindset that it is marginalized.
Okay.
It's not marginalized. The healthcare accessibility policy that exists, it's for the management of the hospitals to make the change.
Earlier it used to be like that because people have been, you know, there were more policies and schemes by government. So there was this thing that this is for certain sector. Yeah.
That demarcation is also there, and I would agree those are also required because there are certain conditions with, for example, there is a rare disease policy also. However, it's a policy, it's not a rare disease act. Okay, so the policy and act makes a difference. Act gives you legal rights, policy gives you a way forward. So rare diseases in India, even the ministry has clearly stated that, you know, we don't know how many rare diseases are there in India, so we can't have a definition or a number around it. However, they did a good job enough that they have given genetic condition, they made center of excellences. People don't know there are something called center of excellence in AIIMS to a lot of other hospitals also. These are where you can, if your child is dealing with some undiagnosed rare condition, you can take them there. For a genetic condition or anything, you can take them there. You can get lab diagnosis to everything done on cheaper rates. There's a category, there are 3 categories, and the first category is for people whose conditions will be taken care, all the, you know, the treatment to everything by the hospitals itself. If we'll keep on seeing just one side, we'll forget what the burden the other side is having.
So what basically is crowdfunding, and like for the viewers who are watching and a little idea?
Yeah, so basically crowdfunding, you have channels like Milap and all these things. And I would say, please, if you're not a person living with a disease or something, if you come across somebody living and their post is there on Milap, or there are even other such crowdfunding sourcing organizations which are there. So they help you raise funds through showcasing what exactly you're going through and what challenge you're facing. You need help for medical health or what, and how much money is required and everything. And employ people. We do have a donation bracket. Everybody has. You have, I have. To a certain level, if you donate, 50% comes back to us. So these are those crowdfunding spaces where you can donate, save your money also, and save a person's life also. I would say this is what crowdfunding means for me.
So moving forward, as a doctor, what do you wish every patient should know before stepping into your clinic, and what do you try to understand about each patient beyond their symptoms?
See, I would not say my clinic alone. If you're a patient and you're going to any doctor, remember one thing: you will be judged for your anxiety, because the doctor is meeting you for the first time. He doesn't know that you were not diagnosed for years, or what are you facing, or what is there. But you can't just throttle on the doctor. You also have to peacefully tell them what you're facing, so that he can also mentally and peacefully make a decision here. On the other hand, certain things a patient should know is what are their rights. There are medical legal rights for patients in India. It's not that you can't sue a doctor if it's required. You can if that doctor is really doing something bad. However, even a doctor can sue you if you are misusing some information or giving drugs out. But the biggest aspect is know what you are doing. What are you suffering from? Don't panic at that time. Give the right symptoms and tell the right symptoms in the right formation as a timeline. If you are facing challenge, document your files. Don't take 50 pages with you. Take, the most important documents with you, and keep it a smaller file which has the most important thing. They don't want to see how much bills you have paid. Reduce all them. Don't make that big file. On the other hand, also realize that be it a child or an adult here living with a chronic illness or a disability or anything, there is things called shared decision making, where the doctor doesn't have to make a decision. Which when you are going for your treatment, you have an equal right to ask the doctor, what medicine are you giving? What are the side effects? If you are asked for a procedure or a treatment, asking the doctor what are the pros and cons of that treatment, what impact will that treatment have, how long would I need to have a rest scenario and all. Sometimes we as patients also forget it, and sometimes doctors also forget to inform some disinformation at times, because the communication barrier is there. Lots of patients are there. Post recovery, the junior doctor, did they do the job or they just signed it? We don't know.
A lot of challenges.
Yeah, exactly. But knowing what is shared decision making, what is your legal rights, how you have the right to ask even the minutest, even if you ask that you're gonna go through a surgical procedure, and if you ask how will the procedure happen, the doctor has the right to explain you the whole procedure in the right manner, so that you can take a consented decision. It's not that whatever doctor said you have to follow. The same way, if you feel that the doctor might not be understanding, or there is some medication that you've used in the past and some doctor has given you, and you had allergic reactions and all, suddenly don't go blindsided and you try to use the same thing again. Tell them. Unless you will not communicate, you will not understand all these things, doctor-patient relationship can never change. However, on the other hand, as a doctor, I would also say that if somebody is coming to me, I make sure that their social angle is taken care of. If we are prescribing medications also, there are generic medicines. We have Jan Aushadhi Kendra policy and a lot of Jan Aushadhi Kendra centers. We did a sort of a 1 month analysis on it. The medicine, even all the medicines I need are H scheduled drugs. They are available there. Go buy with the prescription. Follow the law. But also keep yourself educated, not on symptoms or I could have these 10 diseases, but understand what are your rights. It's not just one policy or another. There are so many policies. Figure out what is right for you. Keep your anxiety at calm. at bay, because that anxiety will not just impact you, it will impact your family, it will impact the doctor who's treating you. One or the other person will lose it, and then who will you blame?
There are so many policies, though so many awareness need to be created.
Yeah.
So we'll get along about those sessions also. We're looking forward to have that conversation.
Yeah.
So before we come to the end, any message you would like to give to our viewers before we end?
I would say stop judging doctors, and I would say to doctors, stop judging patients with one experience. As doctors, we have seen a lot of violence, and every time that happens, it breaks our heart because people forget we are humans too. However, we also understand this fact that doctors ki rozi roti, everything, food, shelter, everything comes from you. Harming you will not help us anyway either. It will just jeopardize our careers also. There are legal rights like that, but both the parties need to understand. And one more thing I would like to say is, if you're in a hospital and medicines are at shortage, if any hospital management hates me for saying this, I am okay with it, but don't blame the doctor, be it in the emergency staff or anyone, because the medicine supply to everything, none of these things are in a doctor's hand, it's in the management's hand. At that time, the doctor can best guide you which pharmacy to go to and bring those medicines, or can try to source it out of the stocks or whatever. But a lot of times, this is the biggest reason doctor-patient challenges happen. So please be mindful. Is it the doctor or the hospital management and all that is not keeping that pool in the right manner? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anubha, for sharing your valuable time and insights with us. So viewers, that was Dr. Mahajan for us, whose work continues to inspire new narrative around pain, one of the dignity, visibility and empowerment. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you.